As Randy said at the outset of the day, the IAB Social Media Committee is comprised of dedicated executives who volunteer their time to help develop and expand the media space as a viable advertising platform. That's their stated mission. And in addition, they work to reduce complexity for advertisers who, like many of you in this room, aim to leverage social media in order to achieve your marketing goals. Very specifically, the committee is responsible for the IAB Social Media Buyer's Guide, which Randy also pointed out this morning and that you found in front of you today. It's an incredibly important market-making resource for anyone buying or selling social media. It guides you through, as you'll see when you open it, the planning, platforms, production, pricing, success metrics of social media, and it illustrates what people really have hunger for, 6 instructive case studies from objectives to results. So the IAB itself is grateful to the people on the committee who are responsible for creating that invaluable handbook, as well as leading many other initiatives. And we'd like to thank them all on behalf of the IAB and the entire industry. Thanks again. So now, I'd like to introduce Seth Goldstein, who's the co-founder and chairman of socialmedia.com and Sticky Bits, and the co-chair of the IAB Social Media Committee. He'll be joined on stage by Nicole Goodyear, co-founder and CEO of Brickfish, who was the driving force in the development of the Buyer's Guide. They're here to tell us all a little bit more about it, as well as to tell us about some other initiatives that they're going to be working on. Seth will then lead us into the next session, a candid conversation with Naveen Salvadurai, co-founder Foursquare. First, join me in welcoming Seth and Nicole to the stage.
Thank you. I think this should be on. Can you hear me? Yeah. A couple years ago, for socialmedia.com, the company that I co-founded, I started saying that in the future, all ads will be social. And most people thought I was crazy, including my head of engineering. They said, no, not ads will be social. And even one of my investors said, you know, you should change your tagline to, in the future, some ads will be social. And so for those of you that were at the IAB annual meeting in San Diego a couple months ago, or a month ago, it was a great vindication to see Susan get up from Google and say that essentially that, you know, even Google now recognizes that all advertising campaigns will have a social element. And so it's with that as a backdrop that I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about the Social Media Committee that I co-chair with Adam Bain of the Fox Audience Network, and some of the work that we've done recently that resulted in the Social Media Buyer's Guide that you have in front of you. As many of you know, and it's still the case, there's a babble of platform formats and pricing models and engagement models and ROI models associated with social media. It's still really hard to compare apples to apples. And what the hope of this buyer's guide was is to start to normalize these different platforms and pricing models around some best practices and terms that we can all appreciate and consume as buyers, and we can sell as publishers and agencies. So I want to introduce Nicole Goodyear from Brickfish, who along with BuzzLogic and Federated and Organic and other volunteers on the Social Media Committee put in a lot of hours to produce what you have in front of you. And also I want to thank Gina Kim from the IAB and Randall and everybody else at the IAB that keep the trains moving on time. So Nicole, you want to take a couple minutes?
Excellent, sure, thank you very much. The IAB, the Social Media Buyer's Guide, as was mentioned, was a chair drop today, as well as you can get a copy in the back, and it's also on the website. It was a lot of effort put in, and as Seth said, it is difficult to get standard formats around social because it's moving so quickly and there's such a variety of formats. But I think you'll find a great amount of progress in the guide in identifying what are the top platforms in social media and getting them classified as different platform types. The guide also introduces different pricing models for social, so it introduces the cost per install, cost per action, and cost per engagement as valid pricing methods for buying social. There's also several case studies in the back, examples of different programs that have been run using different social platforms, as well as what I think is really a key component in social, which is establishing, is social media owned media, paid media, or earned media? The answer to that is all of the above, and I know there's a session on that later today. But any questions you have or any feedback for the committee on future iterations and revisions, obviously we're all dedicated into moving the industry forward in social, and establishing the standards are a huge part of that. So thanks for your support, and we'd love your feedback along the way.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.